Hello students, today I am going to explain you regarding the topic evolution. So, what is evolution? We need to know about the word evolution. Evolution means changes, whatever changes comes due to our genetical changes in our DNA or some changes in the arrangement of DNA or whatever changes occur due to several years in our physiology, that are the evolution. So evolution is a sequence of gradual changes which takes place in the primitive organisms over millions of years, in which new species are produced. So evolution means it is a sequence of gradual changes which takes place in the primitive means primary organisms over millions of years, and new species are produced. The more characteristics of species have in common, the more closely they will be related. So if two organisms have more characteristics in common, that for like human and monkeys, they have lots of characteristics in common, so they are more closely related. Some important sources which provide evidence for evolution are homologous, analogous, vestigial organ, and fossils. So to identify what are the evolution or what type of evolution took place from ancient time to the modern era, how you will identify what evolution took place? By seeing the pictures nowadays. But before 200 years ago or 2 million years ago, how you will get the pictures? By seeing the fossils, by seeing the genetical change, homologous and analogous organ, and the vestigial organ. We can identify what evolution has taken place. Archaeopteryx, which is believed to be the missing link between dinosaurs and bird. It is the missing link between dinosaurs. This picture you are seeing, this animal and the dinosaurs. This animal is the link between dinosaurs and bird. It looks like bird and dinosaurs too. Now, homologous organ. What are homologous organ? Homologous organ means organ which have same fundamental structure but different in function. Example, wings of bird and hands of human. What they have said, homologous organ means organ which have same fundamental structure. Their fundamental structure is same. You can see there all the things whatever they are in that bird's wings, they are present in human hand also. But our hand is used to eat, to write, to do several works, but the wings of birds is used to fly. So homologous organ means they will be looks like same thing, but their function will be different. Now see, analogous organ. Analogous organ means what? Organ which have similar function but different in their structure. Means the organ which are similar in function but their structure will be different. For example, wings of insect and wings of birds. You can see this wing structure one type and this wing structure one type, but their function is same. Both of they use their wings for flying. Now, vestigial organ. What are vestigial organ? Vestigial organ means those organ or those part of our body which are not functional, which doesn't have any work nowadays. For example, we have appendix and wisdom teeth. These teeth, last teeth of your mouth, the last teeth that doesn't have any use nowadays, but it in the earlier era, 200 or 100 million years ago, it have some function, so those people have that, but nowadays we are not using, so that is becoming a vestigial organ that doesn't have any function. Like the appendix in human body, if you will see in the stomach, in the colon, the side of the colon, there will be a appendix, a finger like projection. That appendix is also a vestigial organ that doesn't have any function nowadays. So before 200 years ago or 2 million years ago, there may be some function, and nowadays there is no function. So these types of organ is known as vestigial organ. Now, what are fossils? Fossils means the remaining of dead animals or plants that lived in the remote past are known as fossils. Fossils are obtained by digging into the earth. The age of fossils are estimated by the relative method of or carbon dating method. There are various kinds of fossils. Some important fossils are ammonite, trilobite, and dinosaurs. So the fossils means what? The dead animal, the remaining of dead animals or plants that live in the remote past are known as fossils. Those dead animals or plants who has died 200-300 million years ago, and their remainings for example, they have a animal has died due to the falling of stone. Where a big stone fall above the animal and animal died, then what will happen? The animal will get stuck in the downside of the stone, and that stone will live there for thousands of years ago. And if the stone will live there for thousands of years ago, and after that if somebody go with a JCB and break the stone, then what will happen? They will get the impression of that animal which has died in the downside of the stone. So they will get the fossils. They will get the remaining of that dead animal, and that dead animal will be taken for carbon dating, and then they will identify how many years ago the animal has died, what are the different functions, what are the different things, is this animal, and the impression of the animals will be getting. So these remaining of dead animals and plants of millions of years ago are known as fossils. Now, Darwin's theory. What Darwin has told, Darwin is known as the father of evolution. What he said, within any population there is natural variation. Some individuals have more favorable variation than others. So what they have said, Darwin told that within any population there is a natural variation. In a population, you will see in human population, you will see different varieties of peoples are there, different types of people are there, different structure of their body is there, different eye color, different hair color, different characteristics of human being are there. So there is a natural variation. Some individual have some favorable variation than others. So some have very good variable, some doesn't have. Even though all species produce a large number of offspring, population remain fairly constant naturally. So as all the population are producing, everyday producing, human beings are producing, animals are producing, but their balance is always, there will be some balance, because there is a naturally remaining constant value is there. Up to that extent the value will increase, then gradually it will decrease, and then it will maintain a constant value. That constant value will always, that range will be same. This is due to the struggle between members of the same species and different species for food, space and mate. So how this value is maintained? This value is maintained by the struggle, by the fight, or by the competition between the same species. Humans are fighting for food to each other, for money for each other, and they are killing, and sometimes the animals also fight with each other and they eat each other, and for their mate, and for the space, and for the living space. So these are the different functions, which are different things which the nature has selected or nature has given in the earth for balancing the population. The struggle for survival within populations eliminates the unfit individual. The fit individual possessing favorable variation survive and reproduce. This is called natural selection. The individual having favorable variation pass on this variation to their progeny for generation to generation. So what Darwin is told, that survival of fittest. If a person or if an individual which is unfit for the environment, then he has to eliminate from the environment, he has to die. Otherwise there is no option. The nature has not given any option. If you are fit for the environment, then only you will survive and you will reproduce your further generations. The variation when accumulated over a long period of time lead to origin of new species. If generation after generation variation is going on, continuous variation is going on for a long time, then what will happen? Then after some generation you will get a new species from the parental one. If for example one generation is there in 2020, and more in each and every generation, there is variation. After 10 generation, for example each generation take 10 years, then after 100 years you will get a new species which will not match with the parental one, which one is 2020. Now, natural selection. What is natural selection? Natural selection is the process of evolution of a species whereby characteristics which help individual organism to survive and reproduce are passed on to their offsprings, and those characteristics which do not help are not passed on. So natural selection means the selection, it is a selection, or it is a selecting of species or selecting of characteristics by natural process. That is, if it is not favorable with the environment, it will not pass from one generation to another generation, and if it is favorable for the environment, then these characteristics will pass, and this process is known as natural selection. Through Darwin's theory, was widely accepted, but it was criticized on the ground that it could not explain how the variation arises. With the with the progress in genetics, the source of variation was explained to be the gene. Gene vary in natural population. Genetic variation in the raw is the raw material of evolution. So Darwin's theory was modified accordingly. These days, the most accepted theory of evolution is the synthesis theory of evolution, in which the origin of species is based on both genetic variation and natural selection. So Darwin theory was highly criticized. It was the most acceptable theory in the earth, but it is also highly criticized because it cannot explain the variation, how the variation arises. Then due to the development of modern day genetics, a new theory came, that is a new concept came, that is variation is done by gene. So genetic variation is the raw material for evolution. So genetic whatever changes will be there in the gene, there will be evolution. So Darwin theory was then it was modified, and then the synthesis of evolution theory was given, that is in the genetic variation, whenever there is changes in gene, there will be variation in the next species. Or the natural selection, if you are not fit with the nature, then you have to die. That means the elimination of the organisms. You see in the pictures the variation you have seen. This picture you see what they have given, they have told that individuals show variation, some offer an advantage. See, for example, if the white color organisms, and there is a white color tree snail in there is there in the first picture, you can see there are three white color snail and one brown color snail, and the nature has selected only the brown color snail because white color one can't see. White color one is blind. For example, white color one is blind, it cannot see. So if it will not see, then what will happen? Other organism will kill it. Then the brown color one will increase, more and more brown color will increase, and the new generation will come. That is, after some time only brown color one generation will be there, and white color one will be evolved from the earth. Now you see Lamarck's giraffe, on this what he said, that origin short-necked ancestor, that for example the giraffe in the first generation, they were short-necked, their length of neck is short. But what happened, the ground grasses are over and the giraffe cannot reach the ground, this neck cannot reach the ground. So what it has to do, it has to go up. After 1 or 2 generations, it has strengthened its neck, and gradually it has increased the length of its neck, and then it has reached the plant and it got its food. So what happened now? Nowadays we are seeing that long giraffe are there. This theory was given by Lamarck. So I hope you have understood, and driven by inner needs. This evolution was driven by whom? By the inner needs of the giraffe. This is the type of evolution in which this evolution took place due to the need for the survival. Now, what is speciation? A speciation is a population of organisms constituting of similar individual which can breed together and produce fertile offsprings. The process by which new species develop from existing species are known as speciation. Simple thing, speciation means the developing of new species from the existing species. A species is a population of what is species? At first we need to identify before speciation. A species is a population of organisms constituting similar individual which can breed together and produce fertile offsprings. So the species means it is a group of organisms which are similar in their genes or in their similar characteristics are there which can breed together and produce fertile offsprings. So for example, a group of human beings are a similar individual or a species, but human and dogs, for example 10 dogs are there and 5 human beings are there, this is a group of living being, but they are not a species, but only 5 human being is a species. The process by which new species develop from existing species are known as speciation. Important factors which could lead to formation of new species are Number one, you see, geographical isolation of a population which lead to reproductive isolation due to which there is no flow of gene between separated groups of population. Number one, what is the important factor which can lead to formation of a new species? Geographical isolation of population which lead to reproductive isolation due to which there is no flow of gene between separated groups of population. For example, India and Sri Lanka was attached with each other before 1000 years ago maybe. But what happens nowadays, you can see India and Sri Lanka are far away from now. That means some geographically isolation is there. Or two countries, there before 1947 India and Pakistan was same country, but nowadays both are separate. Then what happened now? Along the fencing, now that animals cannot pass, human being cannot go each other sides, and lots of big animals cannot go from one side to another, or from India to Sri Lanka they also can't go. Then what will happen? This side animal, the animal which are there in India, they have to remain in India, and they have to breed here with here whatever animals are there with that population. And which animal are there in the Sri Lanka or Pakistan, then what will happen? They have to live there, they have to isolate there, and they have to produce there. So there will be some changes may come, and these changes are known as geographical isolation, or that change in some evolution will be there. Genetic drift. Number two, you see, genetic drift due to drastic change in the frequencies of particular gene by chance alone. What will happen? Some genetical drift will be there, some genetical change will be there which will lead to a drastic change in the frequencies of a particular gene, and by chance alone. Variation caused in individual due to natural selection. Due to natural selection also some variation may arise. The nature may choose some characteristics, and that characteristics will come on one organism and that will not come in another organism, and that is a type of natural selection. So this speciation or the changes may come, the speciation may occur due to different things. One is geographical isolation, and that is genetic drift, and third one is natural selection. Now, evolution of eyes. How the evolution of eyes occur? What are the different changes that occur on eyes? You see, the eye is a complicated organ which cannot be generated by a single DNA change. The complex body organ of animals such as eyes have been created in stage over many generations. First of all, the basic eye, like that a flatworm, which are simple eye spot which can detect light. After this, more and more complex eyes are evolved in many organisms. The structure of the eye in each organism is different. The evolution of an eye is an example of evolution by stage. So how the evolution takes place in eyes? The eyes is a complicated structure, we know, which cannot be generated by a single DNA change. Eye cannot be generated by a single DNA change. The complex body organ of animals such as eye have been created in stage over many generations. So in different organisms you will see different shapes of eyes, different orientation of eyes. So this eye is how it has arrived. So at first it was a simple structure, and then day by day when different encounters came, different evolution, different needs came, and the eye position changed. In human being you will see the eyes will be in the front side, but if you will see in goat, you will see that the eyes are in the two different sides. So like this, different organism has different size of eyes, different orientation of eyes, different size of eyes, and that was due to evolution over generation after generation. Now evolution of feather. If you will see the evolution of feather, sometimes an evolutionary change produced in an organism for one purpose later on becomes more useful for entirely different functions. For example, some evolution may occur due to one purpose, due to a change. This change is due to one purpose, but after some time that change help in some other type, and then that become the primary type. For example, nowadays we are changing our habit, that due to lockdown we are changing our habit, that is we are getting up late in the morning maybe, or we are using more and more mobile phones. But what will happen when the lockdown will get over? We will get more addicted to the mobile phones, which is a different issue, which will hamper us. That is changes which will come in our behavior. Or we are wearing masks nowadays, but Why? Due to the coronavirus, due to the preventive measure of coronavirus. But after the lockdown, what will happen? We will develop a habit of wearing these masks, which is a good habit. That will be for one purpose we are doing, but that will help in other ways also. For example, bird evolved feather as a means of providing insulation for their body in cold weather, but later on this feather became more powerful for the purpose of flying. Even some dinosaurs have feather. They could not fly using feather, but bird however adapted feather for flying. The presence of feather on bird tells us the bird are closely related to the dinosaurs. So I hope you have understood bird's feather is due to the protection of body, but the feather later on became more powerful weapon for them for flying in the sky. And dinosaurs also have, some of the dinosaurs have feather, but they cannot fly. This feather, let us identify this feather, give us a opportunity to identify that birds and dinosaurs are closely related. Now evolution by artificial selection, how you will artificially select an organism or a thing to get evolved. Different looking organism can be created from the same basic design of the ancestor. Nowadays lots of development of sciences due to lots of development of science, we can identify organisms, we can identify organisms, their basic structure, and we can do different changes in their gene. So this is called evolution by artificial selection. For example, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi and kale can be made artificially from wild cabbage. From wild cabbage we can make different forms of cabbage, broccoli and cauliflower, kohlrabi. These are the different changes you can do. When farmer wanted very short distance between the leaves of the wild cabbage, the common variety of cabbage was evolved. When farmer wanted arrested flower, development of wild cabbage, broccoli was evolved. When farmer want sterile flower of wild cabbage, cauliflower was evolved. When farmer wanted swollen part of wild cabbage, kohlrabi was evolved. And when farmer wanted to grow large leaves of wild cabbage, kale was evolved. So these are the different evolution. Why? When they wanted different things, different types of evolution occurred. How this occurred? They have changes, they have made some changes in their physical changes due to the change in DNA. So evolution is not a progress. What is evolution? Evolution is a changes, but it is not a progress. This is no real progress. There is no real progress in the concept of evolution. Evolution is just the production of diversity of life forms and shaping of this diversity by environmental selection. The only progress in evolution is that more and more complex organism has emerged over ages. It is a common belief that chimpanzees are the ancestor of human being. This is not true. Actually, both chimpanzees and human being had a common ancestor long time ago. So what they are telling, evolution is not a progress, it is a changes in our body, changes in the diversity of organisms, it is a changes in the species. So as we believe that chimpanzees are the ancestor of human being, but it is not true. The true thing is that chimpanzee has came from an organism, maybe that organism are the parental organism of human beings. So they may be the parent of both chimpanzees family and this human family was a common person or a common thing. That organism may be a common thing. So this evolution is not a progress, but it is a change. Now, human evolution, how the human being evolved. Human evolution has been studied using various tools of tracing evolutionary relationship like excavating, carbon dating, studying fossils and determining DNA sequence. All human beings are a single species called Homo sapiens. It has been now established by research that the earliest member of the human species came from Africa. So irrespective of where we have lived from past 1,000 years, we all have African root. So what they are telling, human evolution have been studied using various tools and tracing evolutionary relationship, excavating, carbon dating, studying fossils and determining DNA sequence. Different things is going on nowadays, and human evolution is being identified. All human beings are a single species called Homo sapiens. All human beings are of a single species, or the name of our species is known as Homo sapiens. That is the scientific name of human being. It is now established by research that earliest member of human being came from Africa. That the human beings earliest member, the first human being or the first human species that were developed, that came to the earth is from Africa. The human evolution took place in Africa. So irrespective of where we lived in for past thousands of years, we all have African roots. All human beings have African roots. So origin of life. Now how the life came into existence. As you can see that Darwin theory of evolution tells us how life evolved from simple to complex forms, and Mendel's experiment give us the mechanism of inheritance of traits from one generation to the next, but neither tell us about the life began on earth in the first place. Both the Darwin theory, neither the Mendel theory has told us how the life came into existence. There is different experiment, different Haldane experiment, different experiment was there from where the life came. This experiment has done and the life came was identified. Before studying the origin of life, till this much we have explained, and we will try to read the NCERT book and try to solve this question. There are 6 questions, 7 questions are there. So solve these questions, and I will discuss origin of life in a brief experiment in the next video. So if you have any doubt regarding any topic, you can contact me. Thank you.